Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Kramer. I am the affiliate marketing manager for PingPong Payments, and this is Crossover Commerce. Thanks for joining me today on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook Live, as well as any other social channel you could be watching us on. I'm joined today by a very special guest, Augustas Kligys from Orange Klik, and I'm going to bring him in right now. Augustas, thanks for joining us today.
Hello, it's a pleasure. Nice to see you here, Ryan.
Yeah. And Augustas, for those of you who don't know a little bit about you, your personal background, what Orange Klik is, I know this whole segment about going live is about events in the European market. So why are you the person I'm talking to? I know we've talked a couple times before. Why don't you introduce yourself and let us know who you are, kind of your personal background, how you got to the space, and who Orange Klik is.
Yeah, so I'm from a small country in Eastern Europe, Lithuania, and I used to be a digital nomad many years ago before this term was invented. And then, so basically I did website programming for many years. And 4 years ago, I decided to do a virtual summit for Amazon sellers. And this is how I got kind of known with my events. I did first virtual summit, which was very successful 4 years ago. And then I continued producing virtual summits. I did 6 in total. And then I switched to creating live events, in-person events in Europe, in different European countries. And in the same time, we're doing content on our YouTube channel of Orange Klik. So overall, I would say Orange Klik is an event producer and facilitator, and kind of we are bringing expertise from experts, the knowledge from experts to the Amazon seller community. So I am not a seller myself. I never sold on Amazon, so I never teach Amazon.
Yeah, but I think that speaks something to that we were talking about when I was actually on your YouTube channel, which is fantastic. It's got so many different followers, which you've grown, in the past 4 or 5 years that you've been doing this?
YouTube channel was growing in the last maybe 2.5 years. Now we have over 5,000 subscribers. Yeah.
Right. And that's from people all around the world, right? That's just not specific, like demographic or a country.
We're not targeting specifically some country, but I would say maybe big part of followers are North Americans, and the same part are from Europe, and then small part are from the rest of the world. So maybe because I'm European, so I'm attracting also European people. And we also try to pinpoint European experts, because in North America, it's quite easy to find experts for Amazon, which can share something about Amazon. But in Europe, we have different cultures and languages around the different countries and communities. And at the end, it's quite difficult to dig these talents in Europe. But this is what we're also trying to do. And we're doing well. Before all this today's situation, we were doing in-person events. And I was very excited. We wanted to do 6 or 7 or 8 conferences across different European countries this year. But we just did one in Prague in March, and 2 months ago we did virtual summit as well.
Right. And I think like the infamous, like everyone I talked to in the space is like, yeah, we were in Prague, and all of a sudden we were hearing just more and more and more about COVID and how it was spreading across Europe. And so what is something like that? You say you plan all these events, about 6 or 7 events that you're hoping that are going to be going on, and all of a sudden something out of blue, I wouldn't say out of the blue, something that's unexpected, I would say, comes along and it, changes the way how we meet in person. What's kind of like the mentality of people in the Amazon and e-commerce community, and how you've had to kind of move along and shift in that regards?
So even before, let's say 2020, there were maybe 2 types of Amazon sellers: those who understand the power of in-person events, and those who kind of have no experience participating in conferences. So for them, like, they are neutral. They see maybe advertising of an in-person event, and they don't care about it. And now, of course, I mostly talk to people who were attending events and who know the power of in-person events, which is very powerful to meet in person different people and get to know and exchange contacts and make partnerships. So these people are like myself. Like these people are eager to go to the next in-person event again and again, but it's impossible at the moment. So everybody, all the probably organizers of different in-person events, they are just waiting for the possibility to have a kind of, I hope it will be open like before, but I'm not sure. But we will try to adjust whatever will be the possibilities next year. And but meanwhile, yeah, we are keep creating the same content as we did in the last 2 years, interviewing experts and sharing this knowledge with the Amazon sellers.
Right. So when you're starting this from scratch, like these events, you have to start knowing people. How did you get the word out and start creating these events? Were you reaching out cold to people and say, "Hey, I'm Augustus. This is kind of my vision for these events. This is what we're going to be doing. This is where we're going to be doing it." How do you start like an events-based organization like Orange Klik?
Yeah. So I started with Virtual Summit 4 years ago, and the first Virtual Summit was very difficult to get people on board, the speakers, the experts. I think I sent like 120 emails, messages, and I got just 25, like 1/5 converted to speakers. And I ended up after the first event, because it was this kind of event in the industry. So there was a lot of attention from all around different Amazon sellers and also industry influencers. And then after the first event, a lot of influencers, they said, we want to be on the next show. So from the second event was no problem to get speakers. And now 1.5 years ago, I switched to in-person events. It's also not a problem to get speakers, maybe more difficult to get attention from people, because I want to, the events we organize are international in English. So we try to, attract people from other countries to come. Let's say the main event is European Seller Conference in Prague in March. And the idea is that it's a central location to come for any kind of Amazon seller into the event. And the challenge for us is to reach out with our marketing different nationalities and countries, right, which are operating in their own language. So yeah, it's but people get to know. Word of mouth is also working, and people are happy to come to our events. So basically, I started from scratch. I did a virtual summit. I did some course, so I had some kind of knowledge. But live event, which we did first in Prague 1.5 years ago, it was a very scary moment when I had to sign, contract with a venue for a 5-figure, 5 figures money, which so it's like, it was scary, but yeah.
And that, when you were talking about that, and everyone who's joining us on social media, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, thank you for joining. Let us know where you're listening from. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment. We will see those and answer those live as we go. But Augustus, when you mentioned like it's a scary notion, it's almost like selling on Amazon in my mind. Like you have a concept, you have an idea, you think that you can bring people together or an idea together and get it out there to the public. And you make that initial jump like you were talking about. What's kind of that push you over the edge? You're like, this is not a bad idea. This is something that's needed in the community. This is something that people will come to eventually. You just got to start small and grow it from there.
Before I came to this industry with all these events, even the first virtual summit was very scary. I had a lot of doubts and I thought I will quit at a lot of stages, but I managed to do. So I was driven by my goal to serve people, to help people in some way. So this is how I saw I can serve as many people as possible, first through the virtual summit, and later I felt it will transform into live events. But live events, it was much more, of course, there is much more responsibility. If everything fails virtually, you can just say, okay, we're postponing by 1 week. But right, in person, people are booking hotels and transportation, and it's a very big responsibility if you fail. So, but yeah, sometimes, I don't know, you just have to close your eyes. Of course, it's very valuable to talk to the friends who achieved similar or at different, which are already at a different level in, I don't know, which are operating with bigger money, because responsibility a lot comes through these big amounts of money you have to transfer to your contractors and so on.
Right.
But also, when you talk to the people who already took bigger risks, which are like out of your box, then it helps a lot. But yeah, it's just also always remember I have to take action, and I know now from my experience, if I take action, then I can be successful. If I'm not, then I will learn something and I will be successful in the second step. So
absolutely. So your events kind of scope, and they span a couple different topics, right? PPC is one. What are the different topics again? Just remind for everyone who doesn't know.
yeah, so at the moment, the idea was that European Seller Conference is the main event in Prague, and it can cover a lot of different topics. So it's just basically a gathering of European Amazon sellers, and of course, outside Europe, attendees are also welcome. And then PPC Congress is like very specific event for Amazon advertising specialists and enthusiasts, for softwares, for Amazon sellers who are taking care of their PPC. So this was the idea which we did. We had only one event 1 year ago in Amsterdam, and we wanted to repeat this autumn in Amsterdam again, but due to obvious reasons we couldn't. But yeah, the idea is to kind of connect all these PPC specialists. And the third series of events supposed to be Seller Fest and the country name. So we did Seller Fest Israel, we did Seller Fest Lithuania, and this year I wanted to do in Romania, in Poland, but the idea of these events, they will be probably a little bit smaller, and they will be targeting the community in that country where we're doing. But of course, we will try to attract neighbor country people as well.
So what's kind of the vision for you? Is it to go to, I would consider those countries a little bit smaller markets. Like obviously you're not going to like Australia, you're not going to United States for your own events. Why target those areas? Do you see just like the swell of sellers? Just this is your niche? What's kind of that roadmap for you?
So financially, so financially, of course, like doing international event in Europe can be challenging, especially for this small niche of Amazon sellers. It's nothing like mass how to make money or marketing conference. But my motivation is to give access to international experts for Amazon sellers. So again, it goes back to my goal to serve people. And I'm European. I traveled a lot in the whole world, but for me, it's much easier to organize something with my team in Europe because we kind of are familiar with this continent. And to be honest, I had a small idea that by the end of 2020, we will do event in maybe Malaysia and Australia, just because we wanted with my family to travel to those countries in the end of the year. But now,
I was going to say, sign me up.
yeah. So it didn't happen. But I had an idea, like I should do something in whatever, if I decide with my family to go for 2 months to Australia, so why not? It's easy to organize an event.
Right, exactly, and I think that's the power of what you do as a industry. I'd say wherever you want to kind of meet up, I know people would follow, and that's kind of a testament to both the community, but also people just globally as Amazon sellers. Not everyone is just in one country, or a majority is in one country. I think that's the misconception of selling online. But that's really cool that you have that vision. It's like, hey, why not do something in Malaysia, or do it in Romania, or wherever that country is, or wherever you want to bring that event to it. So you were obviously you building up steam. You're doing well in these in-person events. I think everyone I've talked to is they mention the Prague event almost every single year, which is a testament to you and your team. So when COVID-19 hits, and it is still going on, obviously, what's kind of that, how do you adjust? Like what's I know we took part in a virtual event with you and your team. What has it been successful for you? Do you think that there's room for improvement? Is there a way to get through the space? What are through all the noise that everyone's online now? What's kind of that? I threw a lot at you, so maybe if you can unpack that and what your vision is for that.
So our last event in Prague was on the edge, or exactly when all the world was locking down in the middle of March, and actually our 2-day event had to be adjusted on the second day because we had over 100 people, and the second day the regulation said we can have only 30 people in the room, so we had to improvise a little bit. And at the end, for me, it was kind of good. I had so many ambitions, and to be honest, in my private life with my family, I was thinking, oh my God, how I can do an YouTube channel and so many events I want. I will travel so much. And now I had half a year, I spent much more time with my family, and I had to take care only about the YouTube channel and the newsletter and maybe, cooperation with some companies like yours and so on. And this was one of the reasons why we did 2 months ago a virtual summit, just because I thought it would be nice to bring another event this year. But to be honest, in-person event is much more enjoyable for myself. So I'm looking forward to do this. But if world is not going back to possible events, then maybe next year we will do another virtual summit. I think people also getting this fatigue and they're tired of this virtual information, and I think more and more virtual summits. Actually, there were a lot of virtual summits in the last few months, and but I was surprised that we still got results similar to what we had like 2 years ago when we did virtual summit. So apparently people either they trusted us as organizers, or they are really still searching for information online. They are not tired, and maybe there are maybe also new Amazon sellers which are interested in this topic just because they cannot do anything else. They lost jobs, and maybe they are looking for this information. I'm not sure, but
right. And I think you hit something on the head. I think that a lot of people are just trying to find more ways to diversify themselves. I think the biggest push I've seen from our industry is people are trying to grow outside of just their own current marketplace. And that international growth is obviously something that you can tap into, whether it's from other countries into different marketplaces like the United States or Australia, or vice versa. If the sellers in the United States, then they're going outward to like Europe, or they're going to Australia, or they're going to different kinds of countries for those opportunities. And I think that's where a lot of people are looking for that edge, if you will. Have you thought about, do you partner officially with Amazon, or is that just like, hey, I know people, it's not in conjunction with Amazon? Because I've seen events that do have official partnerships with Amazon. Is that something you do?
So in my very first virtual summit and very first in-person event, I very much wanted to have Amazon representatives, but through the years I learned that first, Amazon is very difficult to get to bring any speaker because they need to go through a lot of approvals.
Right.
Second, I saw a lot of feedback from the people who visited Amazon events, and they say when Amazon representatives are presenting something, there is no value. So they are very maybe on the surface, not very deep information. They are not revealing anything interesting.
Why do you think that is?
Why?
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Well, Amazon maybe doesn't want to reveal really good information, which can.
I was thinking that, but I didn't know if we were on the same page. Yeah, that's what I would think.
but also, first the speech should be approved. So maybe all these layers of approval, they remove a lot of information as well to be sure that they are safe. Because if they are representative of Amazon says one sentence, it can go through the whole world and ruin the reputation. So probably they rather don't participate or organize themselves something. Mm-hmm. I saw them working with very huge software companies, which are really huge, but now I'm really not worried. I don't need Amazon representatives in our events. Maybe if they would come to the live event and they would be open to do a Q&A, but this is, as far as I understood, also not possible. They usually need all the questions in advance so that they script the answers, which are approved in legal department. So,
I mean, when you're one of the largest companies in the world, I think everything has to be through scrutiny.
Yeah.
That's it's unfortunate for people who are trying to obviously sell in the marketplace. Do you find that the European marketplace is mainly just focused on Amazon, or do you think it's a diversification of different marketplaces that they're selling goods on?
Amazon in Europe, well, is mainly in 5 countries now. Of course, we have Netherlands and Sweden, but they're very small. But uh, Amazon is big probably in UK and Germany, but in other countries like in France, they have a like big competitor, or like other countries like Poland, huge country, and they have their own platform where they buy and sell things. And sometimes the countries from neighbor countries from Amazon market. So let's say Spanish in Spain, they have Amazon, which works quite well, but Portuguese still buy on Amazon, but I don't think it's a main source of like where they shop, because to send, from Spain to Portugal, they cannot use the Prime benefits, so they have to pay for each shipping. So they still shop locally in their own marketplaces. So Amazon is not that big in where they officially don't operate. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's what's kind of that vision moving forward. Is Amazon getting into, do you think, more marketplaces? Do you feel that maybe it's just more, obviously more countries, or do you think that they just build out their robust marketplace even further where they're currently at?
I think they're very careful in, they are not investing very like mad into different countries. For example, that they bought Amazon, Swedish domain for Amazon. There were rumors already 2 years ago. I was even wanting to write a blog post on our website because I heard 2 years ago that, Sweden is getting Amazon soon. But it happened after 2 years. I think Amazon launched in Sweden just 2 weeks ago. And I think it takes a lot of investment for Amazon, but also, countries like, let's say my country, Lithuania, it's a very small, less than 3 million people. And in my country, the mindset is still kind of Sovietic. They are searching maybe for cheap things. So Amazon maybe would not be the cheapest place to buy things. And they need, and for Amazon, I think they need volume, and they target the countries where people have kind of money, like Sweden, Netherlands. So that's why they're going there.
I mean, that's good insight, just because, like you said, with a country that's so small, it's almost like a market share, right? Like you're trying to get market share and volume as much as possible, and that's how they sustain their business. With like United States or Australia or different countries with a lot more population, there are a lot more opportunity for just higher volume, money being pumped into it, where they're consuming goods. Like I know where I'm at, you can get goods in 2 hours, which is, I'm assuming in Lithuania you can just walk down to downtown or wherever that city or that town is, and you can come back in the same amount of time with a similar good. So but that's interesting insight. Do you have any kind of like other trends that you're seeing over there that not a lot of people are paying attention to, or what's kind of your thoughts how e-commerce is kind of taking over now that we're in a pandemic, but also in the future, what that's going to look like here in the next few years?
I think if like e-commerce sellers want to do business in Europe, they should really look into Germany and maybe other big Western European countries. Like Germany even now is the biggest among European Amazon marketplaces. And Germany my wife is German, so I have been in Germany so many times, and really Germans have power to shop online, and a lot of people do buy things online. So, and not only on Amazon, there are a lot of good shops where they deliver within 1 day or 2 days maximum. So it seems like e-commerce players in Germany, they are very taking care of good reputation for their shop as well. So it's a big market, and I think e-commerce specialists should look there as well. Any other? It's very it's very difficult to be kind of knowledgeable about different marketplaces in Europe, because each country has its own specifics. And for example, like I think in some of the countries like Bulgaria or Romania, I remember one friend who is e-commerce expert in that country. He said that like people don't pay, they have a specific payment methods, so you would not be able maybe to charge with a card easily. Like people are not used. Or let's say my own country, like my home country, Lithuania, if you shop online on Lithuanian shops, people don't use cards, they use bank link. So basically when you shop, you log into your bank with some integrated system, and people don't use cards online to shop. Yeah, you have to adapt a lot. So you have to do a lot of research on how to set up your e-commerce business properly, and
I mean, that's
it's not.
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting here. I mean, just like obviously we use just our credit cards for everything over here in the
Yeah.
United States. Or even if you don't, I know that Amazon recently are trying to find ways to. There's just a big segment of people that don't have credit cards. So they found ways that you can find, I don't know how, but you can purchase a good online, go to like a money, like a money sending company, like not Wells Fargo, but something where you can wire funds, but most people have cash. So people who have cash only and they don't have a credit card or a virtual bank account, like a PingPong or like just on a regular banking website, they can't buy those goods. So Amazon found a way for people who just have cash to buy goods on their digital platform, which is like you were talking about. Each marketplace has their own way of currency and conversions and accepting those currencies, which is not something you think about on a day-to-day basis when you look at, hey, I'm gonna just across the border, like Germany to Lithuania or any other country over there. That's interesting.
But also, we shouldn't forget that each country has its own tax regulations, for example,
Right.
and it's not everywhere euro. Like for example,
Right.
if you sell in Romania, I know they have their own currency, and if they want to sell to international people, they have to write invoice. Like if they want to sell in dollars or euros to someone, let's say a digital product, they have to write an invoice where you can see breakdown of in two currencies, local one and the euro equivalent if you sell in euros. So it's getting complicated with all these compliance, so
right.
And yeah.
I was gonna say, you're talking compliance, you're talking to the right company who has to deal with all this. I don't envy my team's job who's in compliance because of all the rules and regulations of currency conversions, but it has to be done because each country has its own set of rules and regulations. But that's interesting to think about that. Do you think that's a barrier for people when they pay you for events? Is that something that doesn't matter in local currencies?
In my type of events, it doesn't matter because I'm targeting Amazon sellers, and Amazon sellers, anyway, they learn a lot from US and North American teachers, let's say, or they follow a lot of North American content. And if they buy, let's say, a course or software product, they pay in dollars. So for my events, I charge in euros, but still like euro or dollar for European people, it's kind of, it doesn't matter where they live. They have a sense what is the value of it. And I remember in one of the virtual summits, I was selling my tickets for International Virtual Summit in euros. And then some North Americans started to write me an email. They say, we don't understand what is the price here. Like they understand euro, but they don't know what is the value. So they are afraid to hit, to open the wallet. So I had to quickly implement somehow explanation what is the equivalent in dollars, and so
which changes a little bit often, right? Like that market rate is a little different every so often. It's like selling and buying stocks. It's the value is constantly in flux. Not too much. I'll admit that it's not too much in flux, but that's interesting. Do you think that what about Brexit? Is that something that do you think has affected in a positive or a negative way for European sellers? Is that something where just rules and regulations and not part of the EU anymore?
Yeah, to be honest, I still don't know what's the effect for Amazon sellers. I think Amazon even doesn't know exactly how to do, and they are playing safe. And they say, I don't know exactly, but I heard like 1 month ago from Amazon seller that Amazon just wants to do this way, which is like the worst case scenario, just because it's not clear yet how Amazon will have to deal themselves. So they just go play safe, and they say like, okay, now you cannot maybe store goods in UK if you want to sell in Europe. But I don't remember exactly what was the detail. But at the moment, I think I still don't hear any like smart Amazon sellers. They're preparing. They know that during Brexit, when it happens next year, they have to keep stock in UK for UK market and in, let's say, Germany for European market. And they're just doing it without kind of making it a big issue. So you have to do it, and that's it. But how it will affect any kind of maybe revenue, probably we'll see a few months later in 2021. And maybe there will pop up some new issues and new kind of non-compliance issues where
God.
people will wake up. Yeah, it's like it's nobody, I think, yet can say anything.
That's true. No one really knows what Britain's doing, or I know we're talking to some compliance companies over there, and they're like, we're preparing for literally any kind of situation, good or bad. So that's funny that you say that. Still, no one knows because it still hasn't technically happened. It'll transition next year. I know we're kind of like running up on half an hour. I just had some personal, like maybe some like one-off questions for you. What's kind of the thing that inspires you? You got into this event space, obviously. You saw an opportunity. What kind of inspires you on a day-to-day basis to keep going and expanding and developing your business on a personal and professional level?
I like to think of people I know in my network who achieved a lot, and I sometimes, they're inspiring me kind of to see where you can go with your knowledge and with your ambitions. So, and very often when I feel a bit lazy for a few days, I tell to myself that I cannot be lazy because then I will not move forward. And I think I'm inspired by seeing that I need to take action on anything. I don't have like specific podcasts that I listen or books I read. No, it's more like talking to other successful entrepreneurs. And this is what I also strive to do whenever I live somewhere. I love to connect with local entrepreneurs. Just yesterday I was in some meetup of like 20 entrepreneurs. It was a brunch organized by some lady. And, I could talk to several people doing online apps or having some big vision, what they want to develop for kids, some online school. And it's nice to talk and be inspired with this. And then you exchange contacts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this, believe it or not, I tell this, and it's really funny. I've never met in person anyone from my company yet. It's me located in the middle of the United States, and everyone else is still spread out. So I think it's very interesting that the most people that I have on as guests on the show, Crossover Commerce, is I've met them digitally, reached out just via LinkedIn, like yourself. We were emailing back and forth. People who we just never met in person. I think that's the missing element, which is when I text these people now, they're like, I just miss being able to talk, about not work and getting to know them on a personal level. Because I think that's one thing that a lot of people didn't think they would miss, is that human interaction with the space. I know there were so many people, former bosses of mine, that were like, I'm just burnt out. I can't do another event. I don't want to go to another 3-day series where I'm just like sitting and learning and talking to people. But I think that this is almost like a good thing. Like, it's not a good thing, but people can look at what matters the most in terms of human interaction, and they can start growing those relationships even more and stronger. So I think that's a takeaway that I'm personally looking at. Like you said, you're spending more time with your family during lockdown. People can look at what means most to them. But yeah, that's kind of where I've thought about that in terms of events. Do you think that there's maybe like something that you hope will change in the future because of this in the event space, or in networking or marketing?
It's like funny, when the lockdowns, all the world locked down in March, people were hoping that something will be back in 3 months. But now 6 months later, there is like, it continues the same story. And now, like if I would try to worry or hope for something, I'm just using my energy. So I really don't care. I'm just waiting whenever there is a clarity, and then I will act upon that. And I will, if there are certain restrictions for events, I will calculate if we can make some profit by doing it, we will do. If not, I don't I would just do a virtual summit, which is less I'm less passionate about, but I can do it, but it still brings value to a lot of people. But yeah, we are like now really focusing on YouTube channel, bringing knowledge to the Amazon sellers through this kind of channel and source. But I'm not trying not to spend energy on thinking how it could be, and
That's just a dark hole we don't want to go down. Like I've spent many nights laying awake, like, what about this? What about this?
yeah.
You're talking about, because on your channel, for people who haven't seen your channel on Orange Klik, you've interviewed just so many different kinds of industries, services, people, experts. Is there somebody that's on your list that you think is out there that you haven't interviewed yet, that you wish you could?
Yeah, apparently, yeah, of course, there are a lot of, especially in North America, there are a lot of people like big sellers and really good teachers and experts. But we are, in some way, we are basically taking requests which we get via email. Sometimes people, experts, they are showing interest in being on our channel. So we are kind of booked with this in some way. So we don't need to search. And sometimes, yeah, if we want to maybe boost a little bit our channel, we are trying to seek more known names. But at the moment, it's not that we're chasing some kind of influencer. It's for us also. Not only for us is not only to bring the knowledge of experts to Amazon sellers, but also for those experts and software providers and service providers to give opportunity to be to be exposed to our community. So at least to few thousand people. So when we get approached by a less known company, of course, we still talk with them about the conditions of recording a video, because it takes our time, and we have to pay, like I have to pay for a video editor and my assistant to produce the video. So it should be
good content. It looks good. They're doing a good job.
Yeah, we're not selling really in the videos anything besides maybe we get sometimes referral commission from services. So we have to adjust, and we also have to make sure that the people on our show bring some value. It's not about promoting their services. It's more about bringing the value. So yeah, at the moment we really are happy to serve not only sellers but also service providers, so they can get exposed to our audience. And I know a lot of stories from people, speakers and experts, which kind of boosted their business by being exposed to our audience in virtual and live events. So it's powerful also for services.
No, absolutely. And if you don't follow them on YouTube, it's Orange Klik. Subscribe and like and hit that little bell so you get notified whenever. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great channel in terms of its perspective, and that's what this show is about, is gaining perspective from different people. It's not about pushing a certain service or topic. Obviously, I work for a company, but our job here is to bring people into this community so that they can get that perspective in terms of, like, maybe I was looking at the European market, maybe I can get firsthand accounts from someone who lives there, who's doing events, and just kind of get that special connection or that perspective. So, but Augustas, yeah, I appreciate your time today. How can people get in touch with you, or if they want to maybe be featured on your website, or just kind of ask more questions about maybe what we covered today?
So Amazon sellers are welcome to go to the YouTube channel of Orange Klik. This is our kind of the main channel where we communicate. You can also go to orangeklik.com website and sign up for the newsletter. We are sending 1 or 2 times per week. And we are sharing most of the time the videos we publish and sometimes some other side news. And for service providers and software creators, I suggest to go to our website, orangeklik.com, and somewhere in the About menu, there is a page specifically for them. And there we explain kind of the rules. And there are, for speakers who want to speak in our events, there is a application form which you can fill out. So it makes our process much easier to vet people and to kind of see if they are a good fit for our audience and our events.
That's awesome. And like you said, it's all on their website. I put that in the scroll bar here at the bottom. it's fantastic. There's so many different events and virtual ones. I know you're planning 2021 as well. You should. 2020.
Yeah.
Let's forget about that year. It's been a it's been an interesting one for sure. I know lots of people have been going up and down. Even this last week feels like in the United States feels like an entire year. Just waiting and lots of things going on. Thank you so much, Augustus. I appreciate your valuable time here. You're more than welcome to come on any kind of topic. But we appreciate you talking to our audience. Again, this is Crossover Commerce with presented by PingPong Payments. I'm Ryan Kramer. I'm the affiliate marketing manager for PingPong, and Augustas Kligys with Orange Klik. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Ryan.